Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Office Hours. As usual, I'll be here for the next 15 or so, 20 minutes maybe. Just spend a little bit of time with you guys to make myself available, to answer some questions, just to see how you're getting on. So if you're joining me here today, and it's really cool to see people already appearing on the chat, just tell me where you're from. Just tell me the name of the country that you're from, just so I can get a rough idea of where everyone's joining me from today. Um, as always, while I'm here for the next brief bit of time, you're very welcome to ask me any questions you want to about writing, about personal brand building, about Substack, about being a solopreneur, anything like that. And you want to just pop into the comments as we go through this brief time. I don't think I've got any questions today from paid subscribers, so I'm just going to leave it open to you guys. You're joining me to ask some questions. I see someone from Chicago joining me here, which is great. It's really cool to have you here. But yeah, just pop a question into the chat. I'll be here for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, and I will do my best to answer them if I can. In the meantime, I'm just going to give you a bit of an update about what's going on with me before I answer anything or tell you about anything else in more depth. But I you might have seen a Substack today put out a note if you're on TikTok or Instagram or things like that. If you follow me there, I released the cover for my next book, which is really exciting. It's coming out on the 15th of December. It's a horror novel, so it's my second published horror novel, and it's called Humbug. It's a Christmas, for want of a better term, it's a Christmas sci-fi slasher. So if that's your jam, you can check that out whenever it's available. It should be available to pre-order relatively soon. But that is my next book. I'm going through this process now, which I've been posting about recently on Substack, preparing to launch it and going through the stages of pre-launch and then during the launch as well, and then post-launch. So I'm currently looking for ARC readers for that. So if you do like reading horror novels and you're interested in being an ARC reader, reading an advanced reader copy of that book, feel free to send me a DM or an email and let me know, and I will add you to the team. But yes, so 15th of December, Humbug, my next horror novel, will be available to buy, and you pre-order before that as well. So that's exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what people think whenever they get to read it. My other books, Empress of Nim, and before that, The Soulborn Talisman and The Substitute, are all available now to buy anywhere you buy books. And you're very welcome to grab a copy and check it out and see what you think. Let this be the nudge maybe you're waiting for to buy one of my books and give it a read and see if you enjoy it. So you're very welcome to check those out at any point, which would be great. Um, I'll answer a quick question here before I go any further. So Global Markets X asked, how often do you post on Substack? How often do you post notes? So in terms of posts or articles on Substack, I post maybe 4 times a week. I think I post on a Tuesday, which is a free post for free subscribers. I post on a Thursday, which is my paid subscriber post, which is following on from the Tuesday post. I post on Saturdays, which is the Saturday morning coffee roundup. And that's going to look a little bit different from the start of next year. So you can look out for changes there. And then I post on Sundays, which is my podcast episodes. That will go out then as well. So 4 times a week for How to Write for a Living. I'm still trying to work out the best cadence for the Solopreneur Stack and Dave McElroy Fiction. They're kind of more, um, not sporadic, but just sort of more as when they're needed, basically. But Dave McElroy, or How to Write for a Living, is very, very consistent, like 4 times a week at least. So you can check that out and see what you think of that cadence for yourself. And don't feel like you have to post that much either. On Substack, that's just what works for me, and that's what I've settled on for now as what is the best rhythm for my Substack. So if you post once a week, that's fine. If you post once every 2 weeks, that's fine. If you post more than 4 times a week, that's also okay. Just bear in mind, it does relate in some ways to the size of your audience. So my audience is nearly 30,000 people, in one publication. So I can afford to post more if I want to, because not everyone will see every single post. But if you've got like 100 subscribers or 500 subscribers, once a week is definitely enough, for that, and maybe even less. So base it on your audience size and work your way up. You can send more emails when you got more subscribers. In terms of notes, I think I was asked there as well about how often I post notes. Every day, probably at least 2 or 3 times. One will be a note about something related to writing or audience growth or solopreneurship, or small business, that sort of thing. And one will be a note that's probably just something about me personally, so something about my own life. Here's a picture of my dog. Here's a picture of the movie I just watched. Here's a picture of the tree outside my window. Whatever, something just to convey afresh to anyone who's coming across me that I am a real living being, and not a bot. And just want to remind people of that every single day, because if you only post help tips for Substack or whatever else um, every single day, you can start to look like a bot. So it's a good idea to throw in some personal stuff as well, just to remind people that they're interacting with a real person. Another question there, possibly. Okay, autobiographical tendencies asked, how do you plan ahead for your posts? What's the schedule like? Good question. So what I recently started doing is working in like a series kind of scenario where I will plan out maybe 4 to 6 weeks worth of posts, and that could be 10 to 12 posts potentially. And I'll plan those out, have a framework for all of them, know what the overall sort of message is that I'm trying to convey through those, and what the teaching point I'm trying to express. Um, and then break that down into individual lessons. Essentially, they all kind of work together as a whole. And then I'll work my way through that and just write them each week as they come along. All right, maybe a couple of posts a week, and just post them at the time with sort of a bit of editing and stuff like that. And then once it come towards the end of that series, I'll think about what the next topic should be that I should address for my audience. That works well because you're not having to think every single week about what topic am I going to post right now, or trying to rack your brain. You know, for a period of time, at least a month maybe, what you're going to be focusing on, and it's easier then to just stay on topic and stay on brand with yourself, and just write what you know is going to benefit your audience. And at the end of the day, those articles, excuse me, I always lose my voice during live videos. Apologies. Uh, that series of articles can work really well, potentially as some sort of course at the end. You can use that as like as a scripts for videos for a course, or you can compile them into an ebook or something like that maybe as well. So I'm going to experiment with that a little bit too at the minute, see what works best. But yeah, I think having a series is really, really useful. Takes a lot of pressure off in terms of the creative side of things, and trying to think each week what you're going to do. But keeping it fresh enough that you don't do it all in advance, and then you don't really have anything to do for a while. It's better just to maybe do it as and when, and it means you can work in your own personal stories as well. I always find that mixing a story on some level into every article you post is a great way to hook people in straight away. You'll have noticed that I sent an email out today, which I'm going to refer to in a second, which had a bit of a story element to it about me personally. And I always find those kind of things are A, most fun to write for me, and B, the most engaging for readers. So a little tip for today for office hours is, if you can work a story into any article you write towards the start. And I talked to someone about this recently. It's a great way to bring readers on board with what you're saying, and you can move into the teaching element after that. And maybe come back to the story towards the end. But story is so powerful, so effective. People remember stories. They'll remember stories more than remember dry teachings. So try and work those into your posts if you can. Was there another aspect of that? Uh, yeah, so that's what the schedule is in terms of planning ahead for my posts. Again, if you're joining me, I'm just going to say this afresh because there's maybe some more people here. I'm here for another 10 minutes or so. So if you have any questions about Substack, about writing, about solopreneurship, anything at all, book promotion, because I'm talking about that a lot at the minute, feel free to pop them into the chat, and I will do my best to answer them while I'm here. Anything at all, just pop it in. Even questions about me, within reason, feel free to ask those too if you want. Allow me to take a drink. I mentioned the email I sent today to you guys. If you're on my list, you'll look up this email, which it was about. It was titled "Is This You?" and it was by working together potentially and sort of a coaching client basis. If anyone's interested in that, I talked a little bit about, in the email, about what I was like whenever I was younger, and how I had pretty low self esteem. I wasn't really particularly confident in myself or in my ability to do anything really. I had a lot, really, really good, strong group of friends and family and that sort of thing, but I definitely wasn't the most confident guy in the room. Pretty introverted, would always rather be in the background, as I still kind of am. in that sense. And uh, yeah, and the point of that story wasn't just a little sob story like "woe is me." It was to kind of convey that today, and obviously I'm a little over now, but today I have this good sized 30,000 plus person audience. I can record videos of myself like this. I can go live in front of people. I can talk to anyone on a one to one basis with a lot of confidence, and I've learned to hone that skill. Um, and the younger me wouldn't have believed that I could be like this at this stage in life. It just wouldn't have seemed like something I could possibly do. Um, but the point of it is that, and I said this in the email, um, if you think you've come as far as you can go in life, that you can't progress anymore, you can't get any better, you can't overcome those things that hold you back and keep you in that state of not being confident and not believing in yourself. Um, from someone who has overcome that sort of stuff, trust me when I say that you can do it. You can move past that sort of stuff. You can be the kind of person who maybe is introverted, but is able to go live on Substack and talk to um, people who they'd never met before, and just do it on off the cuff like this. You can write in a way that is confident. You can tell your stories and share your stories and your vulnerabilities with other people. I'm not worried about what that's going to do to you as a person. You can create products. You can create courses, and you can write books. You can write articles. You can write videos. You can work with other people and support them. You can do that. So don't believe if you're watching this today and you're feeling like I can't ever get to that point. I can't do what David's doing or what somebody else who I see on Substack is doing. I can never record videos or start a podcast or write books or do any of those things. I'm coming from a place of someone who didn't really have any particular experience and that had to learn from myself, learn from other people, had support, but was able to do it. So you can learn these skills, you can do these things, you can do those things maybe you've been dreaming about for a long, long time in terms of starting podcasts and making courses and writing books and growing an audience on Substack and whatever. It is possible. And the point of the email I sent today was that if you do want a bit of help with that sort of thing, I've made myself available. Uh, to pick up a few people to work with on a one-to-one basis. So if you're interested in working with me, and this isn't just a pitch today in this video, I just want to reiterate this point I sent an email earlier. If you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis, you'd find that kind of ongoing support and encouragement and direction and strategizing along with somebody else helpful from someone who's done it before, someone who's kind of gone through that process themselves and has sort of come out the other side. If you find that helpful, to work with someone like me, I am available to work with on a one-to-one basis. So in the email I sent out earlier, you can check your inbox and find it. There's a link to a little form, just a Google form you can fill out, and you can apply to work with me on that basis. I'm doing it as a form basis because I just want to see if there's a bit of a fit and an immediate connection between the answers that you give and what I maybe would expect from someone who I could work with. So feel free to check that out after this call. And if you're interested, do apply because I'm only going to take on a very, very small number of clients just in terms of my own time and how I'm going to work that into my routine and that sort of thing. And I want to offer the best possible uh, care and attention I can give to clients. So we don't want to take on very many people. But if you are interested and you feel that would be useful to you to work with me one on one, then definitely check that out. It's in the email I sent earlier. Again, I'm here for another few minutes. So if you have any questions that you want to ask about, I'm going to reiterate this again about Substack, about writing, about solopreneurship, about Substack. I think I said that twice now. Anything like that, feel free to pop them into the chat and into the questions and comments, and I'll try my best to answer. There was a question there. Let's go back to when are we to engage with others' posts? What exactly should we be doing? Good question. When we're to engage with other posts, what should we be doing? So, in terms of what to do with other people's posts, I'll tell you what not to do. First of all, probably the simplest thing to do. Don't just drop a link to your own article below someone else's note or article and say like, just go and check this out. Even if you have a bit of a nice segue into it, and just say like, oh, this resonated, and here's an article I've wrote. I think sticking your link below somebody else's thing is is just kind of bad form. And I know someone does that to me, I just ignore it, and it's not something I'm ever going to click. It just feels like one step too far in terms of self promotion. So, one thing I wouldn't do is just share a link to your thing, or just say a line about what my Substack's about, that kind of thing. Um, in terms of engagement notes, so what I would say is a good idea to do. Actually respond to what the person has said with more than just "this is great" or "I love this." Or obviously you can say that if you want to, because you can't respond with a really detailed response to every single note you come across. But if you can offer your 2 cents in some way, if you can say that was really good, here's my thoughts on this as well, or that same thing happened to me, and maybe describe what happened, that sort of thing. Do it in a way that you are trying to build relationships and connections, not just promote yourself, if that makes sense. So, um, think of it as you're just walking into a room with other people who are having a conversation, and you're listening to what they say, and then you maybe interjecting and adding your own thoughts into that. You wouldn't walk into a room with other people and join the conversation and say, "That's great, guys. Why don't you check out my Substack over here, or why don't you check out this thing that I'm doing, or buy this thing from me?" It's just not the way you would normally speak in real life. So if you can interact with people on notes as if you're a real person having a real conversation with them, it's a really, really good way to just build a bit of trust and recognition, and just convey yourself as a real person. So that's the first thing I would say. Um, Second thing I would say is if you're sharing somebody else's note, if you have something to say and you think it's good, you think it's worth sharing, just restacking someone else's note is good. Restacking with a comment is much, much better. And I see people doing this with my notes as well. If you can restack that note to your audience with your own thoughts on it, say like, "I agree with this because," or whatever, just add your 2 cents to that. Um, it's a really, really good way of uh, giving the original writer a bit of kudos, and saying you agree with them, and you're helping promote them a little bit on Substack, but you're also adding your own level of authority to that note as well, and saying that, you know, I have something to say about this as well because of XYZ. So, restack things with notes. If you're leaving comments, leave a thoughtful comment that's more than just a few words. Actually add something to the conversation. Um, it's also a good idea to ask the writer maybe a question. More likely to get a response from them. And I apologize if anyone's asked me questions and I missed it and haven't had a chance to reply. But um, it's a good idea to ask the writer a question too, and maybe get a bit of engagement going. Not just for engagement's sake, but just to um, be a human. Because the best way to build connections with people on Substack and any social media platform is just to act like a human being. Because there are too many bots on the internet right now. And if you sound like one, you're going to be ignored like one. So, try and engage with people in a real human way, through some of the methods I suggested there. So, good question. I think with notes, it's good to keep on top of what works and what doesn't. It's Notes also aren't a silver bullet at the same time, so don't think that everything's going to work if you just spend lots of time on notes. But I think it is a good idea to spend a bit of time on there every day and interact with people, and share your own stuff as well. So last couple of minutes before I go, from this week's office hours, if you have any questions about anything to do with Substack or writing or podcasting or creating courses or promoting your books or anything like that, feel free to drop it into the comments, or if you just want to share a thought on something, that's okay. Um, if not, that's totally okay. That's totally cool. And I'll just remind you real quick again about the email I sent today about potentially working with me on a one-to-one basis. Again, go back and check your email, see if you got it. If you're interested in working with me, if what I said in the email resonates in some way and it makes sense to you, and you think that working with me would be good, then definitely apply. And if I think we're a good fit, then we can maybe go on from that point. So check out that email. Check out my books that are out right now. I shared a video on YouTube today, which is a replay of a live I did with Yari Rimmer. You can check that out too. I've got other videos on YouTube coming up this week as well. So definitely subscribe there and check those out whenever they come out. Um, Other than that, it's really good to spend time with you guys. And yeah, I look forward to sharing another post with you guys tomorrow about book promotion. It's really fun doing that little series, and hope you find it useful. And it's for paid subscribers. So, the second half of the one from this week is for paid subscribers. So make sure to upgrade if you want to read that in full and all the other posts in the series as well tomorrow. So thanks for spending this time with me today. It's always really good to be here. I know it's just me rambling for 20 minutes, but I know that people have joined at some point in the course of this conversation, maybe watching now or watched before, and I'll reshare this video onto YouTube as usual, and you can watch back again later. But I really appreciate you guys supporting me, following me on Substack and other platforms as well. Appreciate you reading what I write and listening to my podcast episodes and watching my videos and just kind of generally being here. And again, if you want to have a deeper working connection with me as well, definitely check out my coaching offer as well. So thanks for joining me. Be safe, be well. I'll catch you on next week's office hours. And until then, yeah, have a great week. See you soon.